Hello YouTubers, my name is Attila Mate from Blue Sky Photography, and today I would like to talk to you about a topic which is very interesting because in the past few years, you can see a lot of growth in the Sony lens lineup, and I want to talk about today about the affordable Sony lens setup for wedding and portrait photography. Now, why I want to talk about this, because I was the one who was complaining a few years ago when I was with Sony, and actually that's the truth, that the reason why I left Sony, it was the main reason was the lenses. And these days, I can tell you that this is kind of vanished away, this problem, there's no anymore. So I want to talk about affordable lens setup for wedding and portrait photography. If you are a sports and wildlife photographer, or if you are in other kind of photography, this video is not relevant to you. So I want to talk especially for wedding and portraits or event photographers, because that's my territory. So in the past, you didn't really have affordable lenses for Sony. You used to have the Sony Zeiss ones, but they are really, really expensive. Now, if you have a lot of money, obviously that's not a problem for you. But if you don't have a lot of money and you want to spend your money wisely, then obviously this was a problem for you. Now, recently this is gone. And why do I say that this is gone? Because Sigma and Tamron stepped up in the game and they started to produce Sony E-mount lenses, and that is really important for the Sony users. Now again, Sony released a few more affordable glass, I would say, which are really good optically. And one of them, which is one of my favorites, I tried this lens and I really like it, and that is the 85mm 1.8 lens. Now that lens is obviously not really expensive, because the 85mm 1.4 G Master lens, that is really expensive, but this is only a fraction of the price, but it's a really, really good lens. Now let's see the setup what I was talking about. First of all, I'm talking about the Tamron 28-75 f2.8 lens. This is the first Tamron zoom designed for Sony E-mount, and I have to tell you that this lens is brilliant. Now, it's not like the G Master lens, like the 24-70 G Master. It's not as good as that, but in the same time, the price is only $799, which is $800. That is unbelievable, I tell you. I was thinking personally myself that Tamron will sell this lens for $1,000, but it looks like they don't, and they sell for $800, which is really, really good. Now these prices are from B&H Photo Video, and obviously it is today, when I made the video. So maybe after 1 year, or maybe after half year or 2 months, the prices will be different. I don't know about that. But the prices these today, these are the prices at B&H Photo Video. The second lens I want to talk is the Sony 85mm 1.8 lens. Now, if you are a portrait photographer or a wedding photographer, wedding photography and portrait photography, they are really close to each other. I would say that they are identical. They like what you do at weddings. Portraits you do at weddings. You don't shoot landscapes or something else. So portrait and wedding photography, they go hand in hand. You need kind of the same setup, for that. Obviously, for wedding you need some zooms and some. That's a different story. But if you want, you can do only with primes as well. So there's no law that you need this lens or that lens. So this setup, what I want to say over here, it is only my opinion and what I would use on a wedding or on a portrait photo shoot. So that Sony 85mm 1.8 lens is a workhorse, I would say, and that would be my lens, which would be the favorite lens, in my setup. When I shoot on portraits or weddings, I always pick my 85mm. That's my favorite focal length. Also 135, I like it, but 85mm is my favorite focal length. That's what I choose all the time. The next lens would be the Sigma 35mm 1.4 art lens. Now this lens is available just recently for Sony E-mount users. It wasn't on the market, only for Canon and Nikon and Sigma until now. But at this moment, you can also buy it from B&H Photo Video with $899, which is again half of the price of the Sony 35mm 1.4 for the Sony Zeiss, because that is kind of like, well, not half, a little bit more than half, because this is $900 and that is kind of like $1,500, so $600 difference between the two lenses. But I have to tell you that Sigma lens is absolutely gorgeous. It's good. I mean, it's unbelievable. It's big lens, it's heavy lens, that's true. But in the same time, the photos come out of this lens, it's unbelievably good. So if you want to try it, if you have the option to try it out, and you will see you will get in love with it. Now, the last lens I want to talk about is the Sony 70-200 f4G lens. This is the first 70-200 which Sony released for the E-mount, the f4 lens. And honestly, I'm not a big fan of f4 lenses, and I don't really buy f4 lenses. I don't like them, maybe in primes, but not in zooms, you know. I don't know. In my opinion, f4 is not a great aperture for a zoom lens. It's because I like shallow depth of field, and that's the reason. But if you want to buy with Sony an f2.8 lens, for the moment Tamron doesn't have the 70-200. So you have only option the G Master, which is a lot of money. It's kind of $2,200 or something like that. So that's really, really expensive. Now this lens, the f4 lens, is $1,498. You can buy on the gray market if you want for $1,200. This lens, brand new. So that's not really expensive. That's okay, kind of okay price, you know. I guarantee you, if Tamron releases the 70-200 version, you know, the pair of the 28-75 lens, that will be around $1,100. And that will be a great lens. That will be a great help for Sony users. Now, these are the lenses I would use on a wedding or on a portrait photo shoot. Why? Because you are covered from 28mm to 200mm with zooms, and you have the two necessary focal lengths in primes, in my opinion. That's my opinion, the 85mm and 35mm. And you have these two primes for portraits, and you have the zooms, or also you can use the zoom, but the zooms, in my opinion, I would use the zooms in the reception and for candid shots, you know. Now, you would need a macro lens, you know. That's Sony has a cheap macro lens which is really, really good, and I think it's a 60mm, if I'm not wrong. It's a 60mm f2.8 macro. I will put on the screen up here, I'm not sure now at the moment, but I think it is a 60mm. I never owned it because I owned the Tamron 90mm f2.8 macro, and I was using on the Sony cameras with the LAE-A4 adapter, and for macro work that is no problem at all. It's really, really good because the macro work, it's manual focus anyway most of the time. So this is the setup I would use. If you have a different opinion, or if you would use a different lens, or if you know something else which would be good for Sony, and I was talking about here about the autofocus lenses, not the manual focus lenses, because in manual focus you have a lot of options, but not everybody likes manual focus lenses. I like very, very much manual focus lenses. I would use a lot of Voigtlander lenses or Zeiss lenses, but they are not affordable at the same time. Voigtlander is okay, it is affordable, and it has a few lenses which are really, really good, but Zeiss is not really affordable. We cannot call it affordable unless you buy a Contax Yashica or Yoshina, or I don't know how do you call it, you know, the older Zeiss lenses, and they are good, and they are kind of cheaper, you know. You can buy second hand on eBay, and they are really good. Now, if you know another lens, or if you want to add something to this lens setup, or if you think that this lens setup didn't have something in it which is necessary, feel free and leave a comment down below. Now, I think that with these lenses, these four lenses, you are all covered. And many people would say that, or even with the two zooms, you are covered. I would not say that. I would include the 85 1.8 because that lens is only $598, and the Sigma 35mm is $899. They are not really, really expensive lenses, and if you want to do weddings, these two lenses will be critically important for you, I tell you, for portraits. So, I hope that this video was helpful to you guys. I hope that you liked it. If you liked it, please like and subscribe and share my videos. If you want to add something constructive to this video, feel free and leave a comment down below. If you want to share your knowledge, feel free and leave a comment down below. I would like to learn from others as well. I'm just a human being, so I can learn as well. Other than that, I wish you a great day and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.